make some money? Came to build your brand? Talk to Sean V. Bradley. Y'all know he's the man. Came to get some knowledge? Build your bank accounts? Talk to L.A. Williams for building large amounts.
Synergy Records.
Ladies and gentlemen, what's happening? This is L.A. Williams, Vice President with Dealer Synergy. And, of course, you know who I got along with me today. Listen, it don't happen all the time, but we are, the co-creators of the Millionaire Car Salesman podcast. So I had to bring the Millionaire Car Salesman himself, Mr. Sean V. Bradley. What's going on, my man?
What's up, player? How you doing, man? We don't get to do this a lot since we are Hollywood now. We're all building up. I do my show, you do your show, but this is our show.
Absolutely.
Right.
So
you feeling good, LA? You feeling
I'm feeling
good?
phenomenal, man. We had a phenomenal day yesterday, kind of closing out the video shoot of the Buy a Car song we're doing, man. I'm telling you, people have been asking about that thing, and so they were like, "Oh, where can I hear it? Where can I hear it?" I said, some highlights might be on the channel and all that good stuff, but we're making the doggone thing happen.
Well, look, LA, I'm telling you, let me tease the people with this. It's phenomenal because at IS20G, Karina Bradley and LA Dub remixed this huge Taylor Swift song called "Shake It Off." They rewrote and produced the track. Well, LA produced the track. Karina sang on the track. "Buy a Car," and we had the whole industry buzzing because at IS20G in Baltimore, we shot part of the music video. Karina performed the track live. Buy a Car, opening up IS20G. And what's cool is we shot at a $50 million plus exotic dealership. We shot at FC Kerbeck at a Lamborghini, Bentley, Maserati, Rolls-Royce dealership, Aston Martin dealership. It was beautiful. But then yesterday, to your point, we went on to a major martial arts school, a jiu-jitsu school in New Jersey, Art of Movement, and we shot a scene there. And we'll let people know that we have a major UFC fighter, the number one grappler in the middleweight division, Andre Petrovsky, star in the music video. So a lot of people have been buzzing about this. And LA, tell them about our previous music videos we've done for the industry that have gone industry viral.
Oh man, I'm telling you,
thousands of views.
One of my favorites is the Hotline Bling. Right, it's so crazy because we did that one, and man, I know I didn't have any idea what it was going to really do, but people grabbed that joint. They were so connected to it. They used it for their commercials for their dealerships, all kind of stuff like that. And then we also did the test driver when Sean was dressed up like Rocky for Internet Sales 20 Group 10. That was a lot of fun too, man. So we had a bunch of them.
And if you guys want to watch some of our previous music videos, all you got to go to is internetsales20group.com. That's internetsales20group.com. On the top nav, you could just put, the media or the music videos or the VIP experience, and you'd be able to find that stuff.
Yeah.
So yeah, let's get cracking. I want to talk about this. We just completed, the month of June. And so that means that we are halfway through now. It's the beginning of July. We are halfway through 2024.
Yep.
I got to be honest with you. I can't even wrap my mind around how fast this year's went. The last 6 months have went, that we're in the summer now. And then we had this major debacle, with CDK.
Yeah.
I'm gonna just jump right into it. You know what I mean? Like, first and foremost, this is not an anti-CDK, statement or whatever, because I got to just tell you, some of the vendors that I've seen trying to take advantage of this situation are crazy, because this could happen at any company. You know what I mean? Any company could have a cyber attack or cyber ransom attack. Now, I'm not saying that this is okay or that, CDK doesn't have responsibility in this, that, and the other thing, but I just want us to make sure that, look, here's the reality. Before the global pandemic happened, on planet Earth, and it affected every country in the world, and there was a toilet paper shortage, I don't think most human beings could have fathomed something like that. We all knew what a pandemic was. We've heard of the, different plagues and stuff back in the day,
right,
but we just never anticipated it would be happening to us. And in our
lifetime.
industry, we heard of Y2K and all those things that never happened. So we knew that somebody could get attacked by a cyber ransom or something like that. But to actually see it happen and in effect, 15,000 dealerships, LA. And let's talk about this too. In addition to,
Heard it
affecting
was double.
15,000 dealerships, and it might have been more, is that in the month of June alone, these data scientists and these news pundits estimate, this was just on one of the major news channels, that there was 100,000 cars less sold
Mm.
in June alone, just because of the CDK cyber outage. So what do you think about that?
Absolutely crazy numbers, like 100,000 cars. If you think about the gross that calculates into, goodness gracious, I'm just saying there's a lot of people who lost a lot of money. Hope they had some insurance. That's
Oh,
all I can say.
LA, it's worse than that. Think about, okay, if there's 100,000 less cars sold, okay, that's all of the revenue there, right?
Hmm.
But then what about, the amount of trade-ins that didn't get traded in?
Yeah.
Okay, all the lack of trade-ins. And then what does trade-ins generate? Okay, when you do a PDI, a pre-delivery inspection, when you recondition a pre-owned vehicle, whether it's from the auction or the trade-in, there's revenue that goes to the service department for putting new brakes on the car,
Hmm.
putting tires on our car, changing the oil, topping off fluids, and all the stuff that they do. It's a lot more than that, obviously,
Yeah.
but so that revenue is not coming through. All of the service and parts revenue that wasn't generated, all the referrals that weren't made from people saying, "Oh, congratulations on your vehicle. If you know anybody else in the market for purchase, please let me know."
Right.
You see what I mean? So there's a whole ecosystem that got obliterated, in our industry because of one cyber attack. And you know what I heard is that CDK wasn't even the original target. I mean, CDK wasn't the original target. I believe these hackers hacked into, a dealership or dealership email or something like that. And when they got in there, they got connected and they're like, oh my God, the access, because the CDK firewall was vulnerable or whatever it was,
Right.
but like, what I do understand from very high level people involved in this is that like they weren't the original attack. They kind of stumbled onto the vulnerable network that CDK had. And that's what's utterly crazy to me, is the fact that, there was so much vulnerability.
Yeah, I think it's crazy. But one thing I can say is because I was live at a dealership when it happened, Sean. I was flying to a dealership when it initially happened, and so I was there right for the real impact of it. But the cool thing was there wasn't a lot of panic. I mean, not on the outside. People were showing it, but they were like, "Hey, listen, we messed up in the game, but we gonna keep it trucking." Right? The spirit of this industry is absolutely phenomenal, man. You could tell. I thought it was gonna. I mean, normally something like that happened. People are like, "Oh, cancel the training, cancel it." No, that doesn't make any sense. As a matter of fact, this is the best time to get to working on the training. And so we actually spent some times. We set 14 appointments in the first part of the day, and then we went upstairs and did a bunch of training. And so it's like we did both. We ain't let nothing stop us. That's the whole thing I love about this industry. I think that's what keeps me connected to it so much. It's the spirit of it all.
So LA, have you ever heard that saying, chance favors a prepared mind? You ever heard
Hmm.
that?
Absolutely.
Okay, so can you explain to the people what that means?
So literally, the whole thing is it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter whether you're prepared or not. Like the opportunity is going to show up. It's just when you are prepared, it's going to work for you, right? And when you're not prepared, then it's going to work on you, right? So that's the whole situation. You have to, if you want to actually take advantage of the chances that come your way, then we recommend you be prepared.
Yeah, no, 100%. Like you could take risks, you could, challenge, the Murphy's Law. What's going to go wrong is going to go wrong, whatever
Hmm.
you want to call it, LA. But the reality is that preparation is paramount to perseverance and success through tumultuous times.
You
We
killing it right now. Normally they just say preparation prevents a piss poor performance, but you just took it to a whole nother level, Sean. That was hot.
Thank you, brother. You know what I'm saying? Again, that's the NSA in me. You know what I mean? Or the Toastmasters. Using my vocabulary.
There
No,
you
all
go.
kidding aside. But the and then let's take it to the 7 habits of highly effective people. What Dr. Covey says when we talk about the time matrix, okay? Putting first things first. What does that mean? Being careful of distractions disguised as opportunities.
Hmm.
There's different quadrants, quadrant one, quadrant two, quadrant three, quadrant four. Without turning this into a whole time maximization session, the reality is that there are things that are urgent and important. There's things that are urgent but not important. There's and so on and so forth.
Yeah.
But the second quadrant, right? That is important but not urgent is going to be the quadrant of preparation.
Mm.
That means preparing for things like this. I'm going to just like talk about this. If you were in a state like Florida, like my mom lives there, my uncle Joy, my aunt Chicky, I'm actually flying there tomorrow. Uh, again, there's a lot going on, and the reality is this: there's a lot of hurricanes and big storms. And one of the best practices is if you don't want to go days without air conditioning or without refrigeration or without water or without lights or whatever it might be, then you might want to invest in what? A backup generator.
You just might.
Okay. You just might. And at the very least, if you're a little bit frugal, if the money's a little tight and you can't afford a backup, generator, then y'all need to get some candles. Because even poor people can afford candles. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
Like I've been stupid poor before, and we had candles.
Sure
You
did.
know what I mean? We even had some matches too. You know what I mean? I didn't have to rub two sticks together. My point is that you're prepared, or your dumbass is going to be sitting in the dark. You know what I
Hmm.
mean? Like that's the only alternative. And I'm smiling because like our life is just a bunch of experiences, man. Like I've been in the business 26 years, and I've never seen a cyber attack, a ransom. They're
Yeah.
like, stick them up. That's what these people did. They're like, stick them up. Give me like $35 million, or I'm not giving you any of your stuff. That's crazy.
Hmm.
We live in a world where like cyber terrorists could turn around and just bring down an entire industry from their little laptop or wherever they're at, and it's just surreal. So what are we going to do to prevent it? Okay.
That's the
So if you
question.
think about there's two different things that I want to talk about right now, and we don't have to do this the whole episode, LA, if you don't want to, but I want to talk about it. This is a good visual analogy or explanation in life. When shit happens, like there's two things that you need to do. So here's a learning point, LA, the first learning point for the podcast today.
Hmm.
How do you react to this crazy situation or this serious situation or this critical situation? Okay, reacting and riding out this wave, this negative wave is one thing. But then after you could only focus on that. You have no time to, when you're in crisis mode, you have no time to worry about anything else except for dealing with this crisis, all hands on deck. I get it. But once you clear through the crisis and we're starting to get to that point, then it's holy crap, what just happened? How did this happen? And what can we do to hopefully prevent this from happening? But if we can't prevent this from happening 100%, what can we do to minimize this affecting us as severely next time around? And what can we do if this does happen besides minimizing it? How can we turn around the situation and get back up and running, faster and more powerfully? So those are the only two things that we should be thinking about when a crisis like this happens. Would you agree, LA?
100%, man. I just actually put a video out, and this is more so kind of like a personal thing, right? How a personal response to a situation like this. Literally, when things happen, when you get faced with challenges in life, you literally can press one of two buttons. You can press the solution button, or you could press the distraction button, right? There's some people out there, I don't know them, right? But there's some people out there who literally just were like, oh, it's nothing we can do. We're just going to go home and like, we're just going to wait it out. Like, and I'm saying nothing about it. Hey, it is what it is. Maybe that was the best thing for you. However, for me, I'm a solution button type of person. And so that's the button that I recommend folks press on a regular basis. But yeah, man, you got to, number one, make sure that you focus on getting the job done, right? Let's get through the situation. But then any intelligent, I would say, human being is going to say, wait a minute now, I got to make sure either this doesn't happen to me again, or even if it's going to happen, like you said, I can't really control that. I got to minimize the effectiveness. I got to make sure that it doesn't hurt me as much, because other than that, did I really learn the lesson? Everything in life is a lesson. I mean, I just believe that, right? Everything in life is some sort of a lesson, is a test, it's a quest, right? That I get to have the opportunity to come up against and see if I can beat it. Life is a game.
Well, let's break it down. I'm going to say the one of the first things is if this happens to a dealer, God forbid, one of the things was, what do we do?
Hmm.
And I'm proud to say at Dealer Synergy, we had unfortunately multiple, like a lot of our clients, had some version of CDK, whether it's the DMS, it's the CRM, it's the data mining, it's the active mining, it's one of the marketing products, whatever. There's an API, there's widget. And so this not only affected, elite dealers or CDK DMS dealers.
Hmm.
It's people that had any portion or part of a CDK product that was integrated with their technology and their software, because there's people that had CDK DMSs, for example, but didn't have e-leads and they were still affected.
Yeah,
And so what happens is this: when there's a cyber attack like what just happened and they brought down the system, that means that all the applications stop. It's like literally unplugging the radio or the TV, and then the screen just goes dark or the sound just gets shut off. That's exactly what just happened. And what they found was, holy crap, everything's digital. See,
mm,
I came up in the automotive industry in the late 90s. I sold cars in the late 90s. And when I first started selling cars, and even for a couple of years, there really wasn't any CRMs. So we had paper desk logs that were vertical, horizontal. They were horizontal, they were long.
hmm,
We had black Sharpies, we had yellow highlighters, and we had red Sharpies. And then we had a Stuckler tickler file system with index cards, for our supposedly follow-up. So my point was, we learned how to keep track of our phone ups, our internet ups, our showroom ups, our lot ups, obviously through a paper system. We used to hand write buyer's orders and handwrite credit applications and handwrite trade appraisals and acquisition slips. Everything was on hand. I mean, hell, I even learned how to calculate a lease back in the day.
that's
You know what I
cool.
mean? Just like way back in the day. And so again, but when we're so used to not doing any of that stuff for a decade, I mean, it's all been digital. You're able to go into the CRM or go into, your desking software, and you're able to pull out, all of these things I just mentioned digitally. So what do you do? And what a lot of dealers, unfortunately, a lot of CDK dealers just found out is, we don't even have paper forms in stock.
Wow.
Let me repeat that. We were talking about this, and there was like some of our dealers were talking about, they don't even have buyer's orders, paper buyer's orders in the dealership, contracts, certain bank forms and things like that. They didn't have them on paper. So that's step one, is that you need to just begin with the end result in mind. And even if you weren't affected you're a non-CDK dealer in any way, you've heard about what's been going on. Me and my team were literally in Kansas City, and randomly the Uber driver was talking about a CDK outage, and she wasn't even in the automotive industry. She was just like a parrot repeating what she heard on the talking heads from like the national news, like
Right.
CNN, Fox News, or whatever it was. So my point is that ignorance is no longer an excuse. God forbid this happens again. So step one is, what paperwork do you need that you should be stocking your dealership? Like, even if you want to think of it like regular situations, stocking up for candles.
Hmm.
Unless you're having a romantic evening with your significant other, there's really not much uses for candles. Or if you're like LA and you're Jewish and you're celebrating Hanukkah,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? But
Or the scented
rather
candles. I
than
can work
that,
with those.
or say, but that's romantic. I'm saying that, again. Oh, you're saying you solo like the, okay, my bad, LA. Okay, it's like that. So whether you get my point, everybody listening to this, is that there are limited uses for candles, but one of the most important ones to people is, God forbid, there's a electric outage. I could now see and not bump into stuff. So God forbid there's another, cyber attack, or there's, not an attack, there's just a cyber emergency and there's an outage. Make sure that you have your, paperwork that's there, that's going to be needed. And next is this. And let me take a step back. Ellie, why don't you tell them what Crystal DeSanto, shout out to Crystal for some Toyota,
Yeah.
and some of our other dealers did. Like, explain to everybody, how we created the mastermind to solve this problem for our
Yeah, it
dealers.
was super cool because one of the things that folks did was literally created a spreadsheet, right? They went in, they were able to pull their leads from whether it's a lead source provider or, just some different back end tools.
All right, I'm going to jump in. He missed the mark. What I
Uh,
was saying, explain to about the metrics. So here, people, here's what happened. We have a national company. We got a ton of dealers, and unfortunately, like a lot of them, are e-lead dealers. Not the majority, thank God, but we have enough that it's obviously a serious problem.
mhm.
So they reached out to us. Numerous dealer synergy clients reached out to us, and they were like, "Oh my God, what do we do? How do we do this?" And then some people are like, "Oh, hey, this is working for us." So then what we decided to
Oh, you're
do
just
is
talking about the simple fact that she requested the meeting.
yes, yes, yes. So one of our dealers, she's an executive at Summit Toyota in Akron, Ohio. She spearheaded this thing, Crystal DeSanto. She's super awesome. Her dealership, Summit Toyota, was on the cover of Dealer Magazine for their profound success. Their, her and her dealership were featured on the cover of Dealer Magazine, for their incredible success. But in addition to being on the cover for their success, Crystal was actually a keynote speaker at Digital Dealer with me, kind of going through this. So this doesn't surprise me that a dealer at this high caliber was proactive and wanted to stop, drop, and roll and figure it out. But what Crystal did, guys, ladies and gentlemen, she reached out to Dealer Synergy and said, "Hey, you must have other elite dealers. What are they doing? Let's get together like a 20 group, if you will."
Hmm.
And so what we did is we got a bunch of elite dealers and dealer groups to be on a joint Zoom. And we just went through dealer by dealer. What are your problems? How are you solving them? What did you learn from this? And things like that. So, LA, jump back in.
Yeah, no, and it was fire because they talked about spreadsheets. They talked about because I was literally at a dealership when it happened too, and we talked about the backup system that they put in place and just all kind of cool things that I think that again, if I was wondering, Sean, I was like, I wonder if I should pull that and like at least put some pieces of it into the podcast. I don't know. I was contemplating on it though, right? Because people definitely had some great ideas.
No,
We had,
LA, I would love in post if you did that,
yeah.
honestly, because it's one thing for us to talk about this, but then to hear this, guys, look, this is not a direct Dealer Synergy commercial, but hell, Dealer Synergy is awesome. I mean, this is what we do. When you have, when I have 26 plus years as the founder, and then I've got my people have 15, 20 years automotive experience. I mean, the amount of experience, the amount of access, and dealing with 4,000 rooftops and literally tens of thousands of clients, individual, automotive dealers, managers, professionals, etc. We have this amazing network. And so during a crisis situation like this, we were able to form Voltron and we were able to come together. And one of the things that we all agreed upon, so I'm going to kind of go through the list, LA, and you could maybe filter in and post
Hmm.
their actual verbiage. But one of the things was simply redirecting your current leads that you have. So again, routing the leads that are coming from the manufacturer to a different email. So what every one of these dealers in this mastermind crisis environment said was that's what they did is they, whether it was Gmail or another email server, they basically redirected or rerouted. It's called rerouted the leads from the OEM, rerouted the leads from their website. Second is that well, third, I should say, in addition to that, they were able to go to the third party providers, their online classifieds, and also reroute the leads. Now, here's the reality though, what you're missing without a CRM, a customer relationship management tool, or even an ILM, an internet lead management tool, you're going to miss the automation. So they did not have the automated emails, the automated text messages, or unfortunately, if they were using a CRM that had the AI integrated to it or APIs to it, they were potentially losing the artificial intelligence on some of the companies. because it wasn't, independent. It was part of the CRM. It wasn't set up independently. In addition to that, they also were, having other adverse reactions to this. Can you imagine not having access to all your leads? So one of the first things that they were trying to do was aggregate or shepherd their leads to one place. So again, it was very difficult. LA, if you remember, some of the things they said that were challenging is, they didn't have the record. All they had was the names and the
Yeah.
stuff. They weren't able to see who called them and who called them before and what they said, because all of the notes, all of the details were there, but at least they had access to them. So this is not a clean solution. This is the equivalent that, God forbid, if you're in a combat situation in the field in wartime, you don't have the luxury of a sanitized hospital with an operating ER and sterile equipment. I mean, you have to, field dress a battle wound. So
Yeah.
that's what this was. But they were able, at least by doing that, to communicate with their prospects, because when this first happened, it just went dark. Can you imagine all those leads, especially if you get like 1,000 or plus leads a month fresh, and then all your carryover leads? It's just a debacle.
Yeah.
LA, thoughts on the lead routing?
Well, yeah, absolutely. And the cool thing was, Sean, that again, like I said, I was live at a dealership. So we were making phone calls and the public was so understanding. I mean, I'm telling you, it was almost like it felt like we got more, right? People, definitely less, because of course you're always going to have challenging customers and things like that. But we didn't really get much of that. I would call and just, hello, may I speak to Sean, please?
Yes, speaking.
Hey, Sean, this is L.A. Williams reaching out to you from ABC Motors and Cars.com. Did I catch you at a good time?
Yes,
Hey,
you did.
yeah, hey, listen, I'm just reaching out, just so you know, I don't know if you heard, all our systems are down, literally all throughout the country. There's a major outage. So I don't have any record of anyone speaking to you. Have you been speaking to anyone at our dealership? What's been the latest conversation you've been having?
Well, actually, yeah, I was talking to Tim Miles.
Mm-hmm.
Tim Miles, he reached out to me a couple of days ago, but all we did were playing phone tag, and we did have one conversation when I slightly went over the vehicle I was looking for, but then I had to run, and actually, I thought you were Tim calling me today, but no, that's a shame. Is everything going to be okay?
Oh, listen, we're believing so. We're believing so. But hey, so let's talk a little bit about the vehicle. So boom, and then we just jumped right
Right.
into the conversation. And I'm telling you, it really went just like that. It was crazy.
So, Ellie, I'm going to flip this. How cool is that you are the vice president and part owner of Dealer Synergy? Like you've been with us for like 15 years or have you, and you are part of an unprecedented situation that just happened. Like 15,000 car dealers got their lights turned out in a blink,
Hmm.
but you were in the field experiencing what the dealers feel. Do you think that you have any different perspective? Because us being a trainer consultant, we're not on the front lines at the same dealership every day,
Yeah.
but did it give you a better perspective because you were living through this in real time with our clients?
I think so. I think, like I said, the biggest thing for me, I think if I was at home, if I was, in the office or something like that, I think I would feel a little bit more, and this is kind of crazy because I don't never say stuff like this, but I think I would feel a little helpless, like, oh my gosh, like what can I do to help, my dealers succeed? Because it's not like I could log into their system and make phone calls or whatever. So I'm like, hey, what can I do? What can I do? And I would feel, almost how you're like flailing. You're like, oh my gosh, it's like my kids are out across the world or something like that, and I can't help them, right? That's kind of how I would have felt. But being live at the dealership, I was like, okay, I was, I always keep my cool and all of that good stuff. But it was just like, okay, so what are we going to do today? All right, well, we're just going to print out some leads. We're going to make some phone calls. LA is here. So it's not like anything bad is going to happen anyway. I mean, literally, I had directors saying stuff like that. So we're going to spend some time doing that. And then when everybody gets here, we're going to go and do some training. And we did some high level training. It was really, really good stuff. So.
Mm. I love it. And I want to redirect too, because in addition to the basics, like getting the candles out, man, we got some really strong ideas of what, what these dealers were doing and wanted to do.
Hmm.
They were really creative. They were thinking about like almost like a backup generator. So another thing, in addition to doing this manually, in addition to rerouting all of those leads to an email address and then just calling with a modified script and letting the public know, another huge thing that they did was AI and artificial intelligence. So
Yeah.
I was like, explain this to me. And so they were talking about companies like Podium. And what I really love about Podium is that, first of all, Podium is a massive company. It's actually bigger than the vast majority of vendors like in the automotive industry because they're not just automotive. They have over 110,000 clients, 110,000 clients,
Crazy.
and over 7,000 rooftops. So, in addition to 110,000 clients in all verticals, in the automotive vertical alone, they work with 7,000 rooftops. And their specialty has been online reputation and text messaging because they're one of the preeminent or the preeminent text messaging company in the automotive industry. They've evolved to this what's called conversational AI, which is full-blown machine learning and conversational AI. So what they're doing is this. AI is a technology product that's run usually independent of a CRM.
Hmm.
So like, these dealers that have, CDK, whether it's DMS or they have e-lead CRM that's going through this debacle, having all of their leads reallocated to, reallocated to the AI platform, the Podium platform. So they were basically going to their OEM and all the leads that were in there, even their older leads, old leads, current leads, etc., they were rerouting those to their Podium AI platform.
Yeah.
They're rerouting their website leads to their Podium AI platform. They're rerouting their third-party leads, their online classifieds. All that stuff is going into Podium. And then what Podium is doing with their conversational AI, it is like a CRM, it's like an automated CRM. So at least what was happening with these dealers that are on CDK, DMS, or Elite CRM is if they rerouted them to Podium AI or a different conversational AI tool, that AI would be able to follow up with all these leads intelligently organized, and they are keeping records of the communications that they're sending and any responses. And remember, since this is AI, the responses have responses, and there's responses to those responses, and so on and so
Exactly.
forth. And I just thought, my God, like we've been buzzing about artificial intelligence, artificial intelligence. I mean, LA, just at our recent IS-20G conference in Baltimore, our IS-20G 15, that was like a massive, huge success. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? One of the biggest elements was the AI panel. And if you remember, I don't remember if it was Anthony Castillo, if it was Anath that was talking about it, but AI could be used in situations like this, in
Hmm.
emergency contingency situations. AI is definitely cool, so you could sell more cars more often, more profitably. That's great, but man, AI gave me a whole new perspective in a crisis situation, because when you can't have access to your DMS, when you don't have access to your CRM, and all those communications are just stopped, what do you do? Well, if you have an AI tool, if you have Podium artificial intelligence, if you've got Podium conversational AI, you would be able to have that backup generator
Exactly.
uh, in even primary electricity type environment. So what are your thoughts on that?
100%, man. That's the whole thing. Again, it's always about being prepared. And so it also creates a positive experience for the customer, right? Especially, we had a dealer principal that said that he was working with Podium. They were at a conference or something. He was trying to purposely trick it, right? He was trying to purposely make it say something stupid, something crazy, and he couldn't get it to do it, right? So that's the cool thing about it, man. Again, it creates a real positive experience for the customer. It creates a positive, situation for the dealership or the dealer group that's using it, and even the salesperson, right? It's going to make you look really good. And so that's the cool part about this whole AI thing, man. I love it, man. I've been using it for a lot of stuff. Some of y'all can tell, even when you listen to the podcast, got some AI stuff attached to it. That is the real Sean, though, by the way.
No, this is definitely really me. No, artificial intelligence is it's so awesome because the more that you find out, the more that you understand, and here's the best part, the more that you teach your AI. That's the thing about artificial intelligence that's different than like these bots and where like you're picking the own ending, like if they say this, you say this.
Hmm.
Okay, those are just bots and automation, but versus true artificial intelligence, true machine learning learns. It learns from different data points, different variables, different situations. Man, LA, I'm finding out that YouTube now, there's AI that you could put a couple different YouTube videos in,
Hmm.
and it will produce complete AI generated videos. Like it's mind blowing. Like you could take videos of Sean Bradley or LA Williams that's on, like it's just on video that's on YouTube and feed it into the AI. And after X amount of videos, that it gets the imaging, the pixels, the resolution, the sizing, the this, that, and the other thing. It gets the sound, the pitch, the this and that. It could then just generate its own Sean Bradley videos that's going to look like what I created. That's just mind blowing. But then if you think about it, though, you know what I was watching? I was watching Grey's Anatomy the other day, and
Hmm.
we watched the whole thing already, but we're now like twice now, me and my wife watching it, and we're in like season 11, and that's when they get into the 3D printers. You remember when the 3D printers came out? It was like, my God, but they doctors are 3D printing body parts.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's wrap our minds around that for a second. We are 3D printing body parts and we are putting them in surgery. We're putting valves to hearts or livers or whatever else that they're 3D printing, but they're printing organs, biological organs that are going to go inside a human being that was created not in a laboratory, but in a printer. So when you think of it that way, that we could 3D print body parts that could keep human beings alive,
Hmm.
yeah, we live in a time where we have artificial intelligence. And my God, like artificial intelligence seemed like a luxury,
Right.
Like remember back in the day, certain things were luxury items.
Hmm.
Now they're just basic necessities. I think that this cyber attack just escalated the value. Obviously, artificial intelligence was really valuable and it was an amazing commodity, it was an opportunity. But I think it's now changed from an opportunity or an asset to an essential.
Yeah.
Because if you are leveraging artificial intelligence the right way, it could help you through severe adverse catastrophes like we just had. And let's talk about AI in a different level too. With the HR deficiency,
Mm.
we've always had in our industry a problem with attrition and turnover. That's not something new. As everybody knows on the show, Dealer Synergy is also a recruiting staffing agency. In the 20 years that we've been in business, 20 years, 20 over 20 years,
Yeah. Right.
we have successfully recruited and staffed over 38,000 automotive professionals, managers, technicians, etc., to dealerships. So we're not just pulling this out of the air. This is from firsthand experience for 20 plus years in our industry. There's a catastrophe, and so let's transition the conversation, LA. Because the other aspect is I don't want to just make this all about this whole cyber attack. I think it was a good,
Yeah.
soundboard, but I want to pivot to this thing. And I think HR was a good transition from this. Is there's a trend that's going on right now that there are so many leads out there. Let's dissect this, folks. Think about this. Since the pandemic, for the last 3 years, what's been going on? Okay. There's been less inventory. So when there's less inventory, there's less options, there's less choices, right? And Simultaneously, it's the record keeps getting broken from how expensive cars were grossing and being sold. So we have two records, a record deficiency in product and a record deficiency in cost of said product, simultaneously with the economic, struggles where there's an increase in the last 30 years, the highest that interest rates have been on car loans and leases and things like that.
Hmm.
So what happens? The aftermath is, okay, I need to buy something at like a necessity. The pandemic proved that car dealers, whether it's servicing or purchasing, are an essential business to keep the not just the economy going, but keep the country moving. Daycare, medical, grocery stores, jobs, whatever, transportation to medical or whatever it might be. We need the automotive industry, right? So with that all being said, LA, if there's a debacle like this, what do you think is going to happen? More people are going to go online looking, because if they can't just go to the local dealership and get what they want because there's less inventory, it's more expensive, blah, blah, blah.
Hmm.
So there's more people. So there was more leads generated since the pandemic and post-pandemic than previous because more people need to go online because that's where they have more options. And that's where they're trying to find deals. They're trying to find the cheaper deal. Again, like it makes sense. So
Yeah.
think about this. If we are generating more leads than ever, right? And the need for internet leads is greater than ever, but yet there's people that were laid off and never brought back, or dealers decided to change their models or trim their staff or whatever it might be. There's a lot less people and there's a lot less qualified people
Mm.
because why? For 3+ years it was hard to teach people how to fish when the fish were jumping in the boat and the fish were fat,
Mm.
and people didn't want, forget about being hard to teach, people didn't want to learn,
Mm-mm.
fish
I
because
got
the
this.
fish were coming to them. I got this. I don't need this. So you develop bad habits during good times when you could sell all the cars that you have, pre-sell cars, have factory direct orders, 6 months in advance, and you could make list or over list. Hakuna Matata, you know what I mean? But now that the market is leveling out, now that there's all the situation that's going on, there's more inventory, there's more OEM incentives, dealers are absolutely discounting prices. We're freaking out there, and we have less people to do so.
Yeah.
And oh, by the way, minimum wage in California is $20 an hour. In New Jersey, it's over $15 an hour. This is insane. So when you put in that interest rates, floor plan is more expensive than it's been in the last 30 years. Floor plan, interest on loans, my gosh, like insurance, liability insurance, everything's more expensive. Interest rates more expensive. Interest is more expensive. Insurance is more expensive. I'm repeating myself on purpose. All these things are more expensive, more expensive, more expensive. But we have less people and more leads. So what do we do? So we talked about artificial intelligence. Artificial intelligence is absolutely a big part of the answer. But you know what another part is?
What's that?
It's being able to have thinking out of the box ideas.
Mm.
Thinking out of the box ideas. So let me go through them. Okay, one is there's something called W-8 Ben International Employees. I've talked about this before. I've spoken about this on national stages. W-8 Ben International Employees are international employees. This is not a outsourced BDC.
Correct.
This is not an outsourced BDC. There is no third party that you're paying. There is no third party managing them, but the employees are overseas. For example, we have a bunch. We've got multiple dealers in multiple states, in multiple franchises that use a team of W-8 Ben employees from the Philippines. Just off the top of my head, we have the Clement Auto Group in St. Louis. like six something stores out there, and they've got a team of people in the Philippines.
Yep.
Then you've got an independent dealership in Pennsylvania, Easy Auto, that's got a team of Philippine BDC reps that are their employees. And then you've got the world famous, award-winning, featured on the cover magazine having Bob Ruth Ford. They just sold 300 units last month, over 300 units last month on the internet. And they've got 6 BDC reps in the Philippines. They got 3 Americans. So with 9 BDC reps, they sold 300 units. They've been my client for almost a decade straight because this shit works, right? And what's going on with them is that how are they doing this? Well, LA, they've got a Zoom. She's Bob before. They've got a Zoom, and their 6 BDC reps are on that Zoom all day. And they have a big 60-inch LED flat screen in the BDC and behind the tower. And so everybody could see them like if they were right next to them. They use WhatsApp and the Zoom chat to communicate. So in real time, they're watching them. They're physically seeing them, whether they're looking down or up or they're out of their seat. And then there's a live chat in real time where all the managers, all the salespeople, all the Americans are able to integrate with them. But then, addition to all of that, they have voice over IP phone systems. So their extension is in the Philippines. And so these stores are all on VinSolution. Oh, 2 of them are on VinSolutions and one of them is on DriveCentric, just so we're there. Right. So they have mostly VinSolutions CRM, but they're on also other CRMs. And what they're able to do is from the Philippines, they're able to take inbound sales calls off of the voice over IP. They're able to take phone ups like if they were sitting in the United States in, St. Louis or in Philadelphia or in, Pennsylvania or
Pittsburgh. Yep.
wherever, right? Prevost. In addition to that, they're able to use the CRM and any other software, except for maybe CDK recently, but that's only because of the cyber outage in the United States. But for all intent and purposes, they have that. And here's the crazy part about it. There's no taxes. Dealerships don't have to pay any type of taxes on these people. They're tax-free. One, there's no medical, dental, vision benefits. There's no 401k. There's no overtime. There's no holiday pay, nothing. Minimum, they're paying them minimum wage, but they don't even have to. That's double. In these countries, they're used to only making $3 or $4. You know what I mean? The people with college degrees. So if these dealers, our clients, are paying them like $7 or $8, that's double what they're like normally making. So they are happy. And then, the big thing is that they're like for Bob Ruth Ford, LA, you could talk about this. They treat them like they're full-blown employees. They don't treat
Oh
them
yeah.
like slave labor. They don't treat them like the dog. They don't treat them like they're just an outsourced company. They are full-blown employees of the dealership. Technically, they're general contract agents, but they are on morning meetings. They're in constant conversation. They're in anything that the dealership does, they're doing. They include them, and these people are so proud.
Yeah.
Ella, you want to say about these Philippine backup team? You
Yeah,
want to
absolutely.
shine on some of them?
100%, man. And you know what? The cool thing about it is, I mean, they go as far as doing team outages, right? If you guys look online, there's like pictures and things like that. They meet one another. They went to a fair. They, do all of that good stuff. So, of course, they're going to do all the work together. But if you're going to work together, you got to play together, right? You got to make sure that that bonding situation is there. And the reason why you want to do that is because now, when someone is having trouble with a specific customer, right? There's not that individuality like, oh, this is my customer, this is my man, you listen, it's not even a big deal. Everybody works together, man. When everyone works together, listen, the team, what they say, together everyone achieves more, right? So that's how I go down.
Ellie, I don't know if you know this, but it goes further than this. Talking to Jenna, that like I was talking to Jenna when we were just at VinSolutions headquarters.
Hmm.
We were speaking to Jenna, and this is mind blowing, right? Rob Ruth, Karen, I don't know if you know this too. Rob Ruth is planning to fly over each and every one of the Philippine people to spend time, but on an individual basis, right? To come over the United States to have an American trip, to meet the American team, to develop a rapport with them. I
That's
don't
too
know if they're
cool.
also going to do a group one, but I could say this: they're absolutely have, are introduced to their spouses over in the Philippines, their family. Like it's really serious because these people now have been working there for almost 2 straight years.
Hmm.
They are, and Bob Ruth will tell you, the dealership will tell you that their Filipino team is so grateful, so humble, so appreciative. Every day they're like, thank you so much for the opportunity to work for you. They're not like pathetic or anything like that, but they're just so gracious because think about it, to be in a third world country like that, people on average are happy to make $3 to $4 an hour, and they're making double that, but they're working for a multi-million-dollar American company. It gives them prestige, it gives them purpose. And so when I'm so proud of Rob Ruth and the rest of the Bob Ruth Ford organization for just embracing all of these employees like they were their own. And that's what Jenna says makes them thrive. They work so hard.
Yeah.
Can you imagine having the same exact team in the Philippines without losing anybody for almost 2 straight years? That amount of time and experience and teamwork and camaraderie. And then you take it to the next level where they know they're not just the third world slave labor. You know what I mean? Like the organization cares about themselves, their family, their personal goals. They're doing international trips and bonding and stuff. It's amazing.
Yeah. I love it,
LA.
man. I'm telling you, again, it's one of the biggest things that makes a difference in any organization, right? And listen, we're talking about these particular people right now, but I mean, listen, sometimes they treat them folks better than American workers get treated. You know what I'm saying? So, it shouldn't be that way, right? Everyone should have that positive experience, but hey, we still work on the industry. You know what I'm saying? So
Wait
we
a minute.
get
I
it
got to.
together.
I think we're going to give a big announcement right now. I think this is the time, LA.
We got a
And
couple of them.
it's the end of the podcast, so I think it's going to be crazy
All
right now.
right.
So here's the thing: is that the third and final piece of this on the HR level, besides the AI, the out, the W-8 Ben employees, is just outsourced. Sean Bradley has never believed in outsourcing before, and here's why. Okay. The reason why I didn't like outsourced BDCs is because most of these people are not CRM experts.
Hmm.
Think about it, hear what they say. Pull the tape. Show me that you're CRM experts. Show me the training and certification that you and every one of your people have been on. And I'm going to call bullshit because most of them have not been immersed in CRM. And if they have, it's not all the different CRMs. So think about it. How could you be a great third party managed service if you are not fluent and expert in CRM? You can't. You're going to jumble through it. And this is one of the biggest pushbacks that I see with outsourced BDCs. The second thing is, I would say that a big problem is the cadence. Most of these outsourced BDCs are only able mathematically to follow up like 6 or 8 or 10 attempts, but there needs to be more to it. Now, here's what we're thinking about. I have a bunch of clients actually that have this, but one in particular. So I have multiple clients that have a managed, this is different, this is brand new, I haven't said this before, a managed BDC and in Belize, for example. And for the people that don't know, I am actually Belizean. My father is 100% Belizean from Belize. He was born in Belize. I'm actually first generation in this country, born in New York. And so it's just by circumstance, I stumbled across this Belizean company and Belize is an English speaking country for the people who don't know. It's down in Central America, but it used to be British Honduras up until the 70s when it gained its independence. Now it's its independent country, but it's predominantly an English speaking country, and it's in, the central time zone. So it's great for us in the United States because all those other countries that I was talking about, there's big, differences. Now, those people have to work third shift or whatever. And again, having the ability to work a normal shift opens up the talent pool because there's certain people that just can't work overnight. Their bodies are not good for it. Their family lives are not good for it. But if you have a backup managed call center that's in our time zone or close to our time zone, it opens up the talent pool. So what we found is this Belizean company that has this massive call center, like 500 plus, dialers down there, but they're predominantly not in automotive. The one I'm talking about only has one dealer group client. They reached out to me and Dealer Synergy, and they're like, "What do you think?" And I'm like, "You guys know I'm Belizean, right?" And they're like, "No, we had no idea." And so LA and Karen and I are really considering actually building Dealer Synergy's call center because I'm going to say this, you know, what we do, I'm very proud of what we do. We have a tremendous amount of successful dealers. We have more internet BDC success than any other company. We have 30 covers of every single major magazine, including this month. Shout out to the Withers Automotive Group for being our 30th cover. They
Fire.
are cover for being an incredible brand new smoking hot dealer point. Only a couple years ago, they got their first minority point, which is Chrysler of Lawrenceburg. Fast forward, they've got 3 more stores, and they just took their company public. To have an African American owned small dealer group go public in such a short time is unprecedented in our industry. So I'm super proud that they are a Dealer Synergy client, and we get to share in the success of Withers Automotive Group and Chrysler of Lawrenceburg. So here's my point, right? These people are on the cover of their magazine. So if we have all of this success, can you imagine LA when we go out to Belize and train a
Yeah.
team with our regiment, with our phone processes, with our BDC processes, with our text messaging processes, with our AI, artificial intelligence process, and our CRM processes? If we could leverage the technology, right, for our call center, like with Podium, I would love to partner with Podium with our backup call center, and use Podium's text messaging and Podium's artificial intelligence with our managed people in Belize. If we've got a team of people that are certified through Dealer Synergy, and think about this, these other backup BDC centers don't have a fraction of the experience and the cross skilled experience from communications, sales, digital, and most importantly, CRM. And then with all this, we have the Bradley Demand University. So we can create a course for our call center people, right? We already
Yeah.
have Bradley on Demand. So we'll have a video on demand training, tracking, testing, certification course. And then our people, I know this is going to be difficult for you and your wife, LA, but only for business purposes, we'll have to fly to the tropical paradise of
Oh,
Belize,
you
know,
gotta
on a
invest in
monthly basis to think about this. We could keep our trainers smoking hot, right? And constantly training live in the field with our own call center. And then on top of all of that, right, when we're in our call center, our Dealer Synergy clients, some of them will now just be our managed outsourced call center in Belize, and some of them will be like our regular clients, but we can actually help and support them even better because we'll have a whole backup team. So, LA, what do you think about Dealer Synergy doing our own backup BDC or managed BDC services for the industry?
Man, I'm telling you. So here's the thing. I talk about this a lot of times. Sometimes you listen to this podcast and you literally hear business ideas being put together. You hear that, how Sean's mind works, just kind of creating stuff. Man, I'm telling you, you got to tap into something like that. And so this is one of the reasons why you want to listen to the Millionaire Car Salesman podcast. Not quite the end, but I am going to say, man, you are the average of the five people who you spend the most time with. So I love the fact that everyone gets to hear that live and in person. And we got a phenomenal July coming up. We're not just going to be sitting in the Dealer Synergy offices. We're going to be all over the place. Is that right, Sean?
Yes, brother. So check this out. July, first of all, we have something very, very big. I'm honored. I have spoken to over 500 and I don't know, 30 something NADA and NCM 20 groups. So I will be flying to Colorado Springs in July to speak to an NADA General Motors 20 group. And it is one of my most favorite things to do because NADA is phenomenal. They have all these exotic places that, we're going to. And this time is not like the Caymans or what have you, which we've been to before with NADA, but this is going to be Colorado Springs. But what I love about it is the NADA 20 group. You've got 20 owners or more, probably I think there's 24 here. There'll be 24 dealer principals and or GMs from, GM dealerships, General Motors dealerships, Chevy, Buick, GMC, and what we're going to do is we are going to analyze their entire business, okay, from their fixed operations, their operations, that means front end, back end, everything from their HR, their marketing. I'm sure we're going to talk about the cybersecurity. And what they're doing is they're flying me in, and I'm going to have 3.5 hours. I'm having the entire morning to talk about CRM, internet sales, BDC, artificial intelligence, the communication. Now, in addition to that, LA, can I tell them that we're really, really excited also about our Toyota OEM contract?
Yeah.
So, all that we've been contracted to Toyota OEM for all of 2024, and it looks like we're going to be working with Toyota all in 2025, and we are now expanding our relationship from doing what we're doing with the webinars and the virtual and the online university. Now we're talking about live on-site training, workshops, etc. And there's more, but I'm only going to tease you on that. In addition to that, we were just at Vin Solutions headquarters for 4 days. Me and three other Dealer Synergy executives spent 4 full days in product immersion, in strategy involvement, collaboration, synergy, Q&A, going through all the stuff, cybersecurity, preventive, contingency measures. And I was just asked by Vin Solutions to create a national workshop. So we are in the works right now of creating a national event for all Vin, users for best practices and how to maximize VIN. It's going to be both virtual and it's going to be in person. In addition to that, I'm going to be flying to Orlando in July to compete in a very high-end ADCCC competition. I'll let you guys Google that, see what that is. ADCC in Orlando. Then in August, Dealer Synergy is going to be exhibiting and being immersed at the NAMAD, which is the National Association of Minority Automobile Dealers, the Minority Dealer Association. We're going to be exhibiting in that. And then also in July, going into August, we're going to be flying to Myrtle Beach, South Carolina for two big events. LA, I and Tiana are going to be speaking and or hosting a roundtable mentor mastermind session at Tracy Myers and Troy Springs Unfair Advantage Automotive Mastermind Group event. In addition to that, Dealer Synergy is going to be exhibiting also late July into August at the CIAD conference. So the CIADA conference, that's the Carolina Independent Automobile Dealer Association. So LA, to recap it, we got a lot of stuff. Everything from, my God, our clients are on the cover of Dealer Magazine. We are renewing and expanding our Toyota OEM contract. We are going to be speaking at an NADA 20 group in Colorado. We are going to be speaking and exhibiting in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina at the Unfair Automotive Mastermind event. We're going to be exhibiting at the Carolina Independent Automobile Dealer Association. We're going to be meeting with people from the NIADA. We have, NAMAD, minority dealership thing coming in. We've got a digital dealer after that. Then we also got NADA after that. And then we got the Millionaire Car Salesman Conference. Stop me, Elliot. I can't stop. We're just helping dealers. We're just making, and we're doing call centers in Belize. You know what I mean? Like,
Listen,
damn it.
y'all. And listen, crazy thing is when we get back, Sean, when we get back from NAMAD in September, right, when we finally land in Philadelphia, I'm going to be speaking at the Rich Thinking 2024 conference, September 6th in Philadelphia, man. So I'm telling y'all want to be around. Like I'm telling you, we got so many different things that's going to be happening throughout the summer and going into the fall. This is the time that you want to be connected to Dealer Synergy and the Millionaire Car Salesman group and podcast. So if you're just a listener to the podcast, make sure you become a part of the Facebook group. I'm telling y'all, listen, there's nothing like spending time with these winners. We got so many cool things that's happening. Make sure you're a part of it. Make sure you don't get left behind. Make sure your lights don't get cut out. You know what I'm saying? You got to pull out the candles and everything like that. Make sure you are connected to the Millionaire Car Salesman podcast. We appreciate each and every one of you as listeners. I always say you're the average of the 5 people who you spend the most time with. You've just been spending time with L.A. Williams and Sean V. Bradley himself. We'll talk to y'all next week. Peace.